And we're in live. Welcome to 302 of a kind, everyone. Kevin, how are you doing?
We made it happen. I'm
Yes.
fantastic, Marcus. I was looking forward to this for weeks now.
Absolutely. Me as well. And we were just talking and, like strategizing, how do we do it? And it's like, oh my God, it's always 4 o'clock. So we got to go online. So, but don't worry, we're aligned and we got lots of news for you. As you can see, we're starting with the big news for our industry in a second. But first of all, let me say again, a big hello to everyone. 302 of a kind is back with a vengeance. You may remember we've started 302 of a kind years ago with my very valued colleague Izzy Smith. Izzy's not with us anymore, and it actually sort of the show died down. But it was a couple of weeks ago when Kevin tuned in, or was the replacement host for my normal co-host Alex at our German show, the Daily Dose of SEO, which we have been doing for over 5 years now. So you were a replacement co-host, and it went so well. People were so excited. We thought, well, I don't want to get rid of Alex, and we're still going to do our Daily Dose of SEO in German. So why don't we just do it in English? And you immediately said yes, and I'm just super happy to be back with 302 of a kind. And which we are definitely 302 of a kind.
We are 302 of a kind, you bet. No, it's big shoes to fill. Big shout out to Alex, big shout out to Lizzie, of course. And you and we've been talking for a while now about this, and we both agree that this is something that's missing out there, right? Like you read a ton of stuff about SEO and AI and tech and all that kind of stuff. I read a ton of stuff, and both of us were looking for a resource that tells you everything you need to know within maybe an hour, right? So that you have one update a week. And if you can't, spend the time to follow on social media or read blog articles, then at least you can join that resource and you learn everything you need to know. And so you and I, we set out to do this, and I'm super excited we're doing this.
Yeah, as you just said, we want to create the product we actually wanted. I was looking for a product like this to be able to within 1 hour get like a reader's digest of everything that's happened in the past week, and also get an opinion also on stuff that I don't have an opinion yet, about yet. And this is exactly what we want to provide to you. Just give you the industry news every Friday at 4 p.m. In a very relaxed atmosphere, and also lots of discussion because, we are very interactive. You can be live in the show. If you don't listen to, or if you don't watch this show live, do it, because we got a lot of other SEOs watching live, and we want to discuss with you right here in the show, as we do in our German format, which works really well. And so let us say hi to a couple of guests we have. We have Jens from Hamburg. Servus, Jens. Great you tuned in. We have Hans Cronenberg. Food morning, lieber Hans, lovely Hans. Was sagt man denn? Lieber Hans.
Lovely Hans.
Lovely Hans. It's the lovely Hans. Hans is actually the head of SEO of chefkoch.de. It's one of the largest sites we have in Germany. The recipe book of the German of the German internet, of the German population. Let's say it like this. And this is really without any overstatement. That's really the truth. One of the best we have. Thanks for tuning in, Hans. We got David Konitsky in here. Hi there, David. David just was a guest on Wednesday in our German show it was a phenomenal show. I really got to say this, because he was basically doing a live hacking session. He has found a lot of tricks with the Google DevTools to really see the query fan out some of the LLMs are doing. And that's what he did on Wednesday live in our show. We just watched over his shoulder when he shared his screen and just hacked away. And I learned a lot. I really learned a lot. So if you can speak a little German, maybe you want to tune in, because you can really learn something there as well. Or we just have to invite him to this show as well. Talking about great SEOs from Germany, we also have Philipp Götzer here from Wingman. Hey, Philipp, looking forward to the show. Hoping you're doing great and have fireworks ready. No, we don't, because I'm still sitting in my basement, so no fireworks, please. That would be a big security hazard. But dude, feel free to shoot fireworks if you want to. We got Pamela here. Happy Friday, everyone. Happy Friday, Pamela. Great you're joining in. Also very distinguished SEO from Germany. Great you're tuning in. We have Kaffee Meow. What is going on? 3 or 2 of a kinds going on. That's it. Genau. Jens, cheers. I think he already has a cold beverage on his hand. I like it. German. And we get Michael. Hello from Brazil. Hello to Brazil from Germany. Michael, thanks for tuning in. It's great you're here. Yeah, if you're watching live, just give us a shout out or a comment. Whatever platform you're using, is it LinkedIn, YouTube? You can see all the comments in here, and we promote every comment to the main stage, even the stuff we don't like to talk about. So you use your chance, and we're really happy if people say hi. Michael even starts with a question. Kevin, do you think SEOs really know how to work with AI overviews, or does everyone still not really know what to do?
It's a good question, Mikhail. And by the way, I'm very excited to see someone from Brazil over 10 years after the devastating 2014 World Soccer Cup joining a German show. So shout out to you, Mikhail.
7-0. Just saying.
7-1.
Just reminding everyone of
come on. They got 1 goal. Okay, I was actually. It's a long story. I'll tell you at a later point. Yeah. But no, it's good to have you back here. Anyway, on a serious note, I do see some teams and some people actually really driving their number of citations forward in AI overviews. But I would say that I think there's 2 different factors at play here. One is knowing what to do to appear in AI overviews, and the other one is Google figuring AI overviews out. And what I've noticed in the data is that Google is still updating AI overviews a lot. They try to better hit the intent that people have behind certain prompts or keywords. And so I still see a lot of noise and change in the data, which makes it really hard to measure consistently, right? So yes, I've seen some examples of teams that do a really good job at this. And also, it's really freaking hard to measure because AI overviews are still all over the place. And as soon as Google launches another Gemini update, they kind of change again. So it's tough to keep track here.
Yeah, but Mika, let me tell you something. If an agency comes to you and says, "Hey, we got the best practices, we know how it works, we got the good stuff, change your phone number, run away," because that's not going to happen. I think Will Reynolds, I think it was Will Reynolds who said it best. He said, when customers now come to them and inquire about potential like helping them with optimization for these LLMs and AI overviews and everything else, he's like very what do you say, very zurückhaltend, very cautious.
Passive.
And
passive.
Very passive. And he says, what we're going to do, we go on a journey together. You and the customer, we go on a journey together to figure this out, what we can do to, in the end, may have better results, whatever whatever KPI you're looking at. And I really like this image of, like going together with the customer on that journey, having a lot of experience, in the search overall, and now just like trying to transfer this experience to this new era, so to speak. And I think this is very honest, this is not like the typical agency bullshit, this is just what you need and then it's blah blah blah. No, this is not how it works. And I think this is a very honest approach, and I really like this. So if anybody comes to you, they have the best practice, this is not happening, so just run away screaming. I want to say hi to Aviel. Good morning from NYC. Good morning to NYC. Great you're joining live from NYC. And we got Andres from Canada. Happy Friday from Canada. Happy Friday to Canada as well.
Andres is a former Shopify colleague. Very smart guy.
Nice. I think we're going to be talking about Shopify as well in the show a little bit later. But I love it. We have such an international audience here, so that's really cool. Although right now more Germans than everyone else, of course, right? By the way, Kaffee Meow, I think you could do a show about how to do SEO in the new AI world. Jochen here, by the way. Also, servus Jochen, geil, dass du dabei bist. It's great you're here. Sorry for my German. And I couldn't do a show about how to do SEO in the new AI world because what I just said, I also don't have the recipes, the best practices right now. Nobody has, right? The only thing what we can do is go on a journey together with you guys that you're watching, and we're just trying to share our knowledge, share our experience, and maybe we find a way to do SEO in this new era all together. So I would say let's start with some exciting news. I actually already shared it the whole time. I'm sorry for being stupid, but you already seen the news, and I think this is huge industry news, and also I think very positive news in our industry. They call it the new era of SEO. They've acquired Internet Marketing Ninjas. Who are talking about? We're talking about Previsible. Previsible, obviously founded by Jordan Kearney. Great guy with Tyson and the third. I'm sorry,
Stockton.
Stockton. Thank you. Sorry, I always think that's the whole name from again. They formed this company. Do a terrific job. Great guys, very experienced. Really do a great job from everything that I hear. And now they have acquired the Internet Marketing Ninjas. And Internet Marketing Ninjas is really like one of the, I don't know, the agencies that have been around forever. I think they also started in 1998, 1999, and have been doing SEO ever since. Obviously spearheaded by the amazing Jim Boykin, who brought us stuff like broken link building. Yeah, also what everybody's talking about now, broken link building. This was invented by the guy that invented the Internet Marketing Ninjas, which was called, by the way, Rebuild Pages before. It was called Rebuild Pages. Jim Boykin, because Jim Boykin had his whole link network torched. They were selling a lot of links from their own link network. And at one point, I spare you the story. We got to be more drunk to actually tell the real story. But so he had his whole network torched from Google. And obviously he had a big problem at his hands, trying to, satisfy their customers. All of a sudden you don't have the links anymore you promised to build. And then he was very creative and came up with this technique of broken link building that we all now know. So I think this is just one of the instances where this industry has profited from Jim Boykin, where Jim Boykin showed that he's one of the real OGs in our industry. And I'm so happy that this really worked and these great companies got together, especially because, and I heard that through the grapevine, they started talking about this deal last year at our SE Oktoberfest G50 Summit. I love it. So I love when deals like this are made at the G50 Summit, and it actually also it happens in the end.
Probably
so
at the
great
bar.
news for the industry, and congratulations to everyone involved.
Yes, they probably met at the bar at night. I know exactly where those kind of deals are happening. Or at the SEO Oktoberfest. By the way, we're out of all of the charity tickets for.
Oh yeah, they were gone
almost
right? Immediately. Yeah, so we are doing a new charity event this year at the SE Oktoberfest G50 Summit. We actually invite 10 people to join us for the SE Oktoberfest, something we have not done in the last 20 years. This is the first time we were actually doing this. And so I offered this, and the 10 tickets were gone overnight. So this went really quick. So we don't need any promotion here. If you still would like to attend, just drop me an email. I can't promise anything, but it's always nice to know. But thanks for the plug. So let's start with one of the main topics we want to talk about today. You actually just shelled out a great newsletter again, which also had this as the main topic. And it is a huge topic because it has the potential to pretty much change the internet as we know it. Of course, we talk about introducing pay-per-crawl. Cloudflare now basically wanting to enable content owners to charge AI crawlers for access. So basically, Cloudflare aims to really create the first open web content marketplace in a nutshell, right? So what was your first reaction when you heard that news?
It's massive. It's massive for a couple of reasons. One, because Cloudflare itself is massive. In the article, in the announcement, they say that they govern roughly 20% of the web's traffic. But if you exclude some of the largest sites like Facebook and YouTube and all that kind of stuff, right? They don't go through Cloudflare. They have their own CDNs and infrastructure. Then it might be much, much more than 20%. And also, if you look at just CDN market share, right? So content delivery network, market share, they're closer to 80%, right? So Cloudflare is a giant that has a real weight on the web. And when such a giant makes a policy change, that has massive consequences, right? So they're essentially saying two things. One, news sites, not existing sites, is really important because I was in a couple of groups and WhatsApp and Slack and stuff, and they're all like, "Oh my god, is my site now blocking OpenAI?" No, only news sites to Cloudflare are by default opted in to blocking AI crawlers, unless they pay or they have specific permission to crawl the site. The second change is that AI crawlers need to state their purpose. And that also kind of got lost a little bit in the announcement. But the challenge is that whatever crawler hits your site, you usually don't know what they're doing, right? They could be a new cool, I don't know, LLM or search engine that you really want to be visible on, or they could have some malicious intent. And so now with the new Cloudflare change, bots need to state the purpose, whether they're training for LM models, they're indexing for search, or they're using content for reasoning. And so this is obviously like a massive push. And I think there's a couple of deeper underlying dynamics at play here. The first one is that obviously this old generational contract between search engines and websites is broken, right? There used to be this not written but kind of implied contract that search engines send traffic and customers to websites. Websites give search engines the content, and search engines can run ads against the content. That was always kind of the implied contract.
That was the deal.
That was the deal.
Love that deal.
And yes, exactly. It was not a bad deal. Only the reason for why I make a living now. But there's a fun story that I'll tell about this in I don't know when we have a special moment. But I want to plant the seed here. And so that's obviously done now with AI overviews and especially AI mode, which are killing clicks, basically, right? They're really just devastating for clicks. And so the underlying question here, and that's a fundamental one that we don't have an answer to, is what is the value of being mentioned or cited in an LLM? So in a place where people get the answer to their question directly, is there still value in providing the content as a foundation for that answer? And there is a chance that the value is much, much lower than the value you would get if you were to gate all of your content, especially for publishers. I mean, publishers are at the forefront of suffering from this, but that is the fundamental question. And as soon as there is enough evidence that the value is smaller to provide your content to AI crawlers than to gate it, for example, I think a lot of sites will close their sites from being crawled from AI. And so the other thing, why this is impressive, then I'm going to be done with my rant here, is because when you look at how many big publishers publicly support pay-per-crawl,
it's Time, Adweek, BuzzFeed, Quora, Stack Overflow. That's a lot. That's huge. That's really a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's like what's left of the open web, quote unquote. And so the open web is fighting back. And honestly, I like it. I kind of hope it works out. I think it's a nice, fair deal to say, go get all my content, but leave some money before you get out of the door. It's a good trade.
Absolutely. While I just say hi to Dennis Chodderber. What's up? Nice. Great you're joining us. Former head of SEO at Airbnb, former head of SEO. So many big companies. He's such an amazing SEO. Thanks for joining in. And I think what you said, right, is it still worth something being mentioned? And this is not the only question we have. The other question is, what does it cost? And there is a cost that goes with it, because I would just want to give you a stat you also mentioned in your newsletter. 10 years ago, Google crawled 2 pages for every visitor they send to a publisher. I think that's a fair deal, right? That's a fair deal. 2 crawls for every 1 visitor sent to a publisher. 6 months ago, Google was at 6 to 1. So they were crawling 6 pages for every 1 visitor they were sending you, which is still better than OpenAI, which was at 250 to 1, and even better than Anthropic, which was 6,000 to 1. But now let's look 6 months later to today, and today I mean, the trajectory is just amazing, right? We are at 18-1. So Google is now crawling 18 pages for every one visitor. And if you look at OpenAI, it's 1,500-1. And Anthropic, 60,000-1. And this is exactly what's going on. They're crawling. And this is exactly why Cloudflare now jumps into the ring, trying to defend the webmaster. Although they also have a business motive here, as we're talking about, they make the big open web content marketplace, right? They take a little bit of the table there, of course, right? Of course, this is a nice new revenue stream for them. But nevertheless, this is why Cloudflare actually really thought now we got to act, because it's just getting out of hand. 60,000 crawls. This is my server you're crawling, or in this case, if I do it over Cloudflare, it's going over Cloudflare servers. But nevertheless, 60,000, and I'm just getting one visitor. This is not worth it anymore. No. And now basically what they're doing is really the largest push yet to rebalance the balance sheet of the web. And I think you can really not understate it, what is happening here. Google is asking, no, Dennis is asking, it's sort of synonymous, Google, Dennis. The question was, Google, did they start crawling more or just drop in traffic they sent, or both? I think it's definitely both. Especially also with all the deep research queries and all that stuff, they might visit 20 URLs or something like this. And this is all stuff we don't see, right? Only the agent is basically visiting our sites, taking our content, right? The passages they like the most, to reorder them into a new concise answer. Yeah. And we're not seeing these users. These agents don't click ads, right? We don't have anything off it. We don't get anything off it. So it's how do you think this is going to play out?
Yeah. You're absolutely right in everything you say, Marcus. And I've been thinking a little bit about the mechanics behind these crawls, because from a search engine, it makes sense, right? The search engine crawls your site, so it can index your pages, and then it will come back if it thinks that there's fresh content, right? For LLMs, however, the story is a bit different. LLMs mostly crawl, depends on the user agent, of course, right? But they mostly crawl more because the reasoning LLMs use RAG, which is retrieval augmented generation, for the answer. So when you ask a question to one of the reasoning models, which is now the standard, then you see that they are thinking, quote unquote, and they go out and gather a lot of content to then put the answer together. So the more reasoning happens in the background, which you correctly said, right? Deep research functionality or deep research agents crawl even more pages, right? So the more reasoning happens, the more LLMs need to crawl web content to give a good answer, especially if there is, a need for fresh or specific content. And so if you were to imagine that, all these pages or sites were to exclude these AI crawlers, then reasoning would be maybe impossible in many cases, right? So there is a real leverage that the web has, but it always needed some way to bring everybody together, because you know how it is. It's the same in search, right? And publishers. If it's not enough for a few of them to say we're opting out of Google, because then the other ones just take their place. So you need a big concerted effort. And what I mentioned earlier, right? That there is this kind of underlying question of value. And what I'm hoping is that Cloudflare can establish a marketplace similar to YouTube, which also has a revenue sharing program, which also gives billions of dollars back from the advertising money that it makes to creators. And that's not little money. I think it's 50 billion or something like that over a couple of years. But then you have Snapchat and TikTok, which failed to establish those marketplaces, right? So it is tricky, but I think Cloudflare has the best position to make it work. And I also think that this is mostly a play for, I would say, not the top publishers, right? Because some of the top publishers, with few exceptions that you just mentioned earlier, the top publishers usually make deals directly with the LLMs. They have licensing deals where they give the money out directly, which also shows that there is monetary value in the content from publishers, right? So we have the proof. We know it's valuable. It's probably undervalued, I would say. But I just want to go back to the fact that Cloudflare is in the best position. And when I look at the growth of Gemini, just from a pure traffic and user perspective, I'm pretty sure that this ratio that we're seeing right now from Google crawls to visits, that will grow even smaller. So we'll see way fewer. If I had to make a bet right now or a prediction, I would say in a year, we'll see even fewer, probably 10 times fewer, if not more, visits for every crawl.
And by the way, there's also a fun stat in here, but besides the crawling, we had this that the publisher traffic dropped from 2.3 billion users to 1.7 billion users, right? As they could also see, as the overall amount, obviously, of users getting sent to publishers is diminishing at an amazing pace. I mean, but I get it. But is he maybe, as I'm talking about Matthew Prince, the CEO of Cloudflare here, we have a lot of comments. I'm going to take it at the end of that topic to discuss it a little bit further. But I want to ask you about this. So Matthew Prince is, I think, very bullish here, right? Because they're like, hey, it could ask a couple of follow-up. So does it still mean Gemini training is currently not blocked by default? What would Cloudflare ideally want Google to do? Gemini is blocked by default. We will get Google to provide ways to block answer box and AI overviews without blocking classic search indexing as well. Okay, I take that. I mean, this is something they want to give us. And he's like, oh, yeah, we're going to make Google give that to us, And he's like, wait, is that possible? Are AI overviews not a representation of the search index ranking itself? Isn't more right? Blah, blah, blah. No, it is. Stay tuned. So he's like, basically like, we're going to force Google to give you control over, you just want to show up in your organic search. Do you also want to show up in AI overviews? Can I use your content for this? Can I use your content for that? And you can like slice and dice it and have it however you want. Do you think this is, I mean, what?
That's very confident. And look, like I think
confident.
Also that Matthew Prince is kind of positioning and establishing himself a little bit as like a defender of the.
Oh, du bist mute.
Great. Sorry, this mic mutes very, very easily.
It's better not muted.
It's awesome. Classic. What I said is, I think that Matthew Prince is intentionally positioning himself as a defender of the open web. I think the way that he interacts on Twitter now and the answers that he gives, they're very intentional. And I want to make another prediction. I would not be shocked if we see a deal in the next months between Cloudflare and Substack, Medium, or WordPress. I mean, WordPress is an Akamai partner, so it's probably not WordPress. But Medium and Substack, which are some of the biggest platforms that publish open web content. And I think to come back to that comment, right? Can we force Google to do certain things? I think the more of these platforms Cloudflare wins as partners, and the more of these platforms kind of join the cause, I think the more leverage Cloudflare has to actually force Google to do something. If it's not the Department of Justice that forces Google in one of these going lawsuits right now.
And I mean, like we could already have this if we would have an enforceable robots.txt, right? I mean, like this would already we would have an enforceable robots.txt, which is not just like, oh, this is an encouragement to act like this, but really like, no, this is what you need to do. We would already we would not be in that position. And I think Joost de Walk had a fantastic comment about especially this, because he was like reiterating that we have the robots.txt, and by the way, it's defined and maintained by Google, not to forget, right? And this is also a big, obviously, the storyline here in this thread, because he said that's like letting the biggest fox write the henhouse access policy. By the way, I love that picture, not like the fox running the henhouse. No, he writes the henhouse access policy. Only an SEO can write shit like that. And let's talk about why this is a problem. The robots.txt file tells crawlers what not to fetch from a website, but here's the catch: it's optional. It has no enforcement, and until recently, it wasn't even a real standard. Guess who shaped it anyway? Google, of course. Yeah, that's good, but the core issue remains: still no enforcement, still no way to verify crawler identities, still no nuance in permissions, still largely Google shaped. Yeah. And by the way, it was Fabrice Canal from Bing who actually also already proposed a robots exclusion protocol extension to manage AI content use. So there are initiatives, to get this basically over the finish line. But well, it's not really working. By the way, here, the irony, Google, the biggest crawler on earth, gets to define the etiquette for everyone else. Imagine Amazon writing the local business playbook. Helpful? Maybe. Neutral? Definitely not. I love it how he writes. And now he has some good points here. Here's how to fix it. Add enforcement hints to robots.txt. I love this. Let site owners say hard block, index allowed, violation means enforcement. Yeah, right now disallow could mean do not enter, or we prefer if you didn't. Right? That's it. It has to be enforceable. At crawler identity and authentication, yeah, anyone can pretend to be Googlebot. Also, Write pretends to be Googlebot if people want us to be Googlebot, right? So we were doing the same thing, yeah. But crawlers have no reputation layer, and bots get in by lying or just flat out ignoring it. We had, what was it, Perplexity, or what was it?
I think Perplexity. Yeah.
I don't care about robots.txt. It's the house rule of that domain, but I just don't care. And we just take the content, sue us. We got more billions than you. I mean, this is how it sounded for me, right? And he also makes a point for moving beyond plain text, including metadata, crawler class, enforcement level, purpose, expiration. But then I think he took the wrong turn. I mean, these are great recommendations, but now, well, he's saying, step 4, create a global independent governance body. Oh, yeah, good luck with that. A crawling and indexing council made up of web publishers, search engine and AIs, non-profit, legal expert, privacy orgs. Yeah, if this is public infrastructure, let's treat it like this. I love it. That should be really the case. But I think it's a little bit, obviously it's a little bit out there, but I think it shows how complex the problem is. And although we already basically have a solution here, yeah, it's not being used to some actors maybe not wanting to use it that way yet. I think this is why we're here, and therefore I really like the initiative from Cloudflare. We're saying, well, this is not moving along, so we got to act now. Let's do this. Let's hear what the audience says about it. IVL. Given that Shopify partners with Cloudflare, I wonder if essentially all Shopify sites are blocking AI crawlers unless they explicitly give permission, or does Shopify handle that for them? Do you actually know that?
Yeah, so this will be the standard for new Shopify stores, right? For new merchants. And of course, like if you're in the self-serve tier of Shopify, then this will apply to you. Enterprise sites typically have enough kind of governance and control that they're going to be aware of this. But yeah, there new Shopify stores, like every new WordPress, not WordPress, but like every new other site on the web that uses Cloudflare will fall under this default. That's right, but not the existing ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a very important point. Yeah. David is asking, but that only applies to the crawl of the domain, right? If I'm indexed in Google or Bing, I can still be found by a crawler. They're crawling the SERPs as well. And guess what? You've also been in Common Crawl, so your content is already ingested. I think this really applies to new content. Yeah, I think this is the first thing. But you're right. Yeah, that's only basically as if you're already indexed, the stuff is already indexed. Of course, this really only applies to new content you're creating. Correct.
At least for Google and Bing. I think for ChatGPT, if ChatGPT crawls Google SERPs and then goes to the links and they're still blocked through robots.txt, then I don't think they will get through. But to your point, Marcus, part of the problem is, right, that there are organizations like Common Crawl and also, Wayback Machine and archive.ph and all these kind of crawlers and indexers that crawl the web for different purposes. And Common Crawl was a huge source of training data, still is a huge source of training data for modern LLMs, but there never was an ask like, hey, by the way, just so you know, we're going to give all that stuff away, right? It was going on for many years, and it was like, we're crawling the web to archive it or whatever. And then all of a sudden, that was the reason that LLMs are where they are today. But there never was like this handover, right, where you get an email saying, hey, we'd like to use your content for crawling, right? So that, I think, is an underlying problem, that there's so many crawlers on the web, that are going rampage and crazy, and you have no idea what the implications are. And this is a way to control that.
And by the way, if you're talking about all this, so many crawlers crawling the exact. Basically, if you create one piece of new content, you're gonna get hit by so many different crawlers, and not just once, several times. We had this great podcast here in Germany. It's called Doppelganger, with a fantastic SEO called Pip Klöckner, also a G50 brother. And Pip actually made a point for basically communitizing the crawl, that you would have one entity crawling the web, and basically everybody can tap that entity and can tap that crawl like a common crawl, right? But like really a common crawl, a common crawl, yeah, as an ongoing common crawl, where one where one entity is crawling the whole web, and basically everybody else is using the content, which would relieve us of so much bot traffic. I mean, it's amazing how much bot traffic we could eliminate by having this. Of course, it's something like this the index, so to speak. Of course, that's a huge asset, but it would definitely help democratize everything that's going on right now, and also would allow new innovative companies to come up, and which right now is just not possible. You can't just start a new search engine. You can't start a new AI search engine or whatever, right? And this would sort of like give everybody the same fair chance. But of course, if you're the one profiting immensely from this, obviously you wouldn't be totally for that. So I don't see that happening. But nevertheless, we are generating so much CO2, so much energy is being as a wasted, yeah, on thousands of different crawlers crawling excessively, it could be really like a rejuvenation of the internet, so to speak, like setting it up new and correctly, so to speak, without the waste and without like the enormous amount of energy consumption, which is just getting worse with all the AI search engines. But yeah, I think this is just a dream. By the way, Dennis is saying again, lots of knowledge sits in the server log files. Are modern SEOs equipped to retrieve and handle log files? Well, they should, right? I mean, like when I started like almost 30 years ago, the only thing I had was log files, right? So I mean, it's like going back to the basics, and they provide still a very valuable source of information. Good point. Oh, and by the way, to your point, YouTube paying out so much to creators, in my humble opinion, YouTube is paying peanuts to creators. Absolute 50 billion sounds a lot, but relative low percentage of ad money they make on content. And furthermore, it's also a black box, right? It's a black box, right? It's you get a share, but you don't really know a little bit about it. And Aviel, by the way, nice comment. Sounds like Yoast also wants to kill the scraping industry. It's not just him. Not sure the SEO tool would survives that, of course. But I mean, like, also this game is changing a little bit. So I mean, this at the moment, obviously, with all of them, like more prompting than just normal keyword research that we had before. But let's not dive into this. Philip has a very extensive comment here. I wonder how apparent are the AI crawler settings in the Shopify backend for Cloudflare? Since only new shops have default block on in the free tier, I'm not sure how many are aware of those settings, also blocking AI. E-commerce, at least right now, is not in danger of losing money to AI like publishers, especially when more chatbot and agents can buy for you straight from the UI. You also don't know, right?
I mean, I kind of have an idea of like how this is set up in the backend, and look, like it's true. And I would also argue that a lot of the robots TXT rules in Shopify, which are a hot button topic sometimes, they're also not clear to merchants who are not technical, right? So there's a whole bunch of stuff and policies ingrained in Shopify as a product that are not super obvious to people who are not too familiar with the topic. So I think that's true. And at the same time, right, like again, you could like argue how important AI search is to e-commerce. I think it's going to become a lot more important, right? I think Perplexity already has some sort of an agent out there, but you can like see that ChatGPT and Shopify have already some like tie-ins together as well. And so there is a chance that, I don't know this for sure, right? This is pure speculation, but there is a chance that Shopify says we're gonna by default allow ChatGPT to crawl our Shopify stores, but not other LLMs. I don't think that's going to happen. Actually, I think they're going to open up for most LLMs. But Shopify obviously has the finger on the button to define the default Cloudflare settings, right? And one of the Shopify principles is to like not put merchants in a place where you do harm to them or they experience harm because they choose Shopify. So I do think that if this really becomes a thing, if pay per crawl, right, really is, I mean, it's a concept right now, right, and it's an initiative, but it's not yet. It's just blocking bots, right? There's like no agreement between OpenAI and Cloudflare to say OpenAI is going to pay Cloudflare X dollars for every crawl, right? So the push is there, but the whole system is not established. And so I think once it is, then Shopify will absolutely make it transparent and raise it for merchants as well.
Interesting insight. Very cool. Let's talk about AI a little bit more. You actually also turned out some great data actually on LinkedIn recently. You got some great data from SimilarWeb. You analyzed over 70 million clicks across 4 industries, and I think you found some great points. Can click through this a little bit. By the way, also taking this, I was always with the SEO, right? You're also now going to the GEO niche. Okay, I like it.
No. I'm not a fan. I said publicly that I will not yet pick an acronym. I will at look. I think at some point we need a new acronym. That point is not yet. That point could be years in the future. But I don't want to go too deep in the conversation. But no, my point with this slide is that we have all these buzzwords and they all mean the same thing, and they're not that different from SEO just yet. However, this is important. When you click to the next slide, I looked into these 4 industries and I compared the top leaders per industry. Maybe one more. One more. Okay, here we go. Cool. So I compared the top leaders in each industry in terms of visibility on ChatGPT and in terms of traffic on Google. And the leaders are different, right? So while I don't want to give the impression that Geo or AO or LMMO or Gaio or insert buzzword here, I don't want to give the impression that that's completely new. It is deeply rooted in SEO, and just doing good SEO is not enough. That is the message here that is important to understand, right? It's not black or white. It is gray, right? So yeah, I went through these kind of 4 different verticals. Some are e-commerce, some are more informational, some are finance related, and you see that the category leaders, they're always different, right? Some of them are not the same, and so I think that's important to take into account. I think it's also important because we recently got some data showing that LLMs are trained on, they have a very different mix of training sources. ChatGPT leans heavily on Wikipedia, Perplexity maybe more on Reddit, and so besides good SEO not being enough for AI visibility, it also depends on the model that we're talking about. So anyway, I tried to wrap all of that up in this slide deck.
And by the way, I know one guy who also will be very much against like saying something new, also changing the acronym, because he also used this acronym for over 30 years, and he's one of the best in our industry. And I'm so happy he's here, Mikkel the Map. Oh my God, it's so great you're here, guy. Mikkel, haven't seen you in a long time. Again, one of the best we have, I think, in our industry, Mikkel. And I assume you also stay with the SEO acronym. I would assume. It's so great you're here, man. By the way, Dennis wants to call it TLA. Wasn't this texting ads? Didn't we already have that? I don't know. That's a 3-letter acronym. Yeah, that's the point, right? It's just about finding 3 letters. No, I mean, like when everybody called himself now a growth hacker, I was still in SEO, where everybody was like I always stuck with me. I even have it on my shirt, right? So that's just I'm not going to call it anything else in a long time.
The problem
is I'm all for actions. That's it. That's it. By the way, Olaf is here too as well. Hey, Olaf, great you're joining as well. The new patent guy in our industry, and as you have to follow him on LinkedIn, does some amazing work with patents. and continues the work of the late great Bill Slarsky. Yeah, thank you for your service, and rest in peace, my friend. Yeehaw. I shared this why SEOs are well positioned for this new AI mode. Okay. Oh, I can't click on this right here. I should have put in my notes. I can pull it up for next week. But thanks for sharing. Right on. By the way, this is so funny. So what you are sharing here is basically you can see that in organic SEO, there's different leaders than in ChatGPT or in other LLMs. And another great SEO actually found out the exact same thing. Marcus Tober, my boss, actually, I love it. I mean, the best product engineer we have in our industry right now, building a fantastic product with SEMrush Enterprise, and I'm so proud to be a part of this journey. And he also shared some very, very interesting info and stats and data about what's going on, and it's very much like the stuff that you shared, because he's also very super interesting. Just 15 of 100 top organic brands are top performers in Google AI mode. This is massive. So you have the 100 biggest domains in organic search, and only 15 of them are also top performers in Google AI mode. And this goes to what we just said, SEO is still so important and it's basically the same, yada, yada, yada. No, it's not. Because people that are doing great SEO, 85 great SEO teams, right? They do great SEO, but they're not top performers in Google AI mode. And this is massive. And he also does this with Perplexity and ChatGPT, and with you can even see, right, Google AI mode is actually the worst in that sense, that you only have 15. Also Perplexity with 17 and ChatGPT with 22 in the business to business sector. I also like that he does the split here with B2B and B2C, right? But you can really see that they are like more strict in that sense. And I would assume like a little bit less primed on brands, but more on what's really the most helpful answer, what's really the best answer. Maybe this could be one of the reasons, but this is really, really massive. Yeah. But you can also see that great minds think alike, right? You basically found out the exact same things. So this is really crazy. By the way, if you want to download the whole study, here it is: the current AI landscape and analysis of evolving user behavior. Amazing, really cool, really great data in here. Also great charts in there. So I mean, there's a lot of people here that are speaking at conferences. So that need charts for their presentations. Here you go. There's a lot of very juicy charts in here you can use in your presentation. It's a great study from Datos, which is a SEMrush company now, but basically Datos, similar web, sort of like the same thing. Yeah, and by the way, Olaf, yay, he loves our show. I love it as well. Mikkel says, the funny thing is that every time I have this discussion and someone mentions something we should now do because of AI, I point out that we have always had to do this for SEO. Their only reply is, yeah, but many don't. Yeah, right. Most still do shitty SEO.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's absolutely true. Look, it's funny because I had that same thought earlier, and it applies not just to it applies to so many things, right? Like the same with query fan out. There was a big hype about Gemini's query fan out. It's like it's essentially just covering a lot of user intents, which we should have done for so many years. So I think AI is an accelerator of shitty versus good SEO, right? So it just makes the problem bigger. And what I like is that there's an opportunity now because so many leaders across companies, they see AI search as a first mover advantage. And we can basically repackage the recommendations that were in our backlogs for many years under the guise of or disguise of AI search and say, like I have some great ideas. Like we should, clean all this stuff up, change our content creation strategy and all that kind of stuff. In the wins, in the riding the wave, I mean, from AI search. So yes, we should have done this for a long time, and there's a window opening where maybe we can now finally get some of these implementations done.
Yeah, and Dennis says this is an opportunity for challenging brand. That's it. Sure. Because I welcome this change, because always when it's getting harder, people are dropping out. Oh, it doesn't work anymore. I give up on SEO. I don't get any traffic anymore. Now I'm gonna be on TikTok. Whatever. Fry your brain like you want to. But that's the case. If it gets harder, people get out of the game, and this is like I think it's the most exciting time in a long time, right? Where something really is fundamentally changing, and you really have to put on your thinking hat now, as we said before, to go on a journey with your customer together and figure this out. What can you do? And I love this, that there are no best practices yet, that it's not polluted with all these, this is what you need to do here, this is what we need to do here, all the stuff that we had for years, right? Now it's like really, it's a new time to be creative again, to really think out of the box. What can I do for my customer, or if it's my own brand, right? What can I do to basically get more on the bottom line, right? And I love this. Mikkel, the good thing is that finally more of my clients are crowd begin to understand the value of being very focused on all the little boring technical details. Yeah, word. Absolutely, word. Although Dennis is just saying that white text on white background. Yeah, I mean, like, the whole black hat shit is back big time. I mean, we have all the stuff we've been doing 30 years ago that's now totally on vogue. But again, we don't want to talk about this because we want to obviously don't use any nefarious techniques, but rather do a white hat approach. By the way, Hans has a very good point here. One reason why SEO top performers are necessarily also AI top performers is that AI overviews are displayed with varying intensity across different industries. That's correct. I mean, like, Google is already, like, oh, we're not doing this here because we're making a lot of money here, so we can't do the AI overviews in that, right? I mean, we know what we're doing. Very good point. Thank you, Hans. And Philip says, isn't the data of the brand overlap contradicting the new study done on AI citations versus Google search overlap based on URLs and domains, also done by SEMrush? Haven't read that closely, but the overlap as that one is much higher. Admittedly, brand domain, but closely related. Okay, I have to read it. I'm sorry. This could also be that it's also different data sources. This is coming from Datos, and this could be a different data source. But I also don't think it would be contradicting. But good point, Philip. We're definitely going to take a look at that. Yeah, and we're going to take a look at the next at my next topic. By the way, Lily retweeted this from SimilarWeb, a great visual, because we're all talking about, oh, JetGPT is now taking off and people go to JetGPT and they're not using Google anymore and what? No. Over the last 12 months, 95.8% of JetGPT users visited Google, while 9.8% of Google users visited JetGPT. So this is basically it. Everybody's still using Google. There's just a bunch of stuff I'm now doing on JetGPT. Oh yeah, don't give me shit. What the fuck? Have you turned white hat, Marcus? Of course. That's why I'm still here. Yeah, no, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. A lot of overlap studies are lacking because they're based on main queries, not fan-out queries. Oh, yeah, this is also the stuff like, oh, it didn't rank in the top 10, and that's so unusual. Yeah, but of course, if you have like 100 different queries and it's not about the keyword. We're still thinking in keyword levels, but I don't think this is true with this study. So what do we have? You also did a great post on Search Engine Journal talking about AI search and how you can track brand authority for AI search. I think I just want to plug the article because I think it has some great points. But can we give me like 1 or 2 pointers what people should take away from your post?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm trying to highlight and clarify some of these buzzwords, right? Like topical authority, brand authority. I see that being used a lot of times to justify certain things, and I think it's important to kind of explain what's really meant here. And so the way that I make sense of these two terms is that topical authority is obviously how authoritative you are within a certain topic. I like to just measure that by how much of the potential traffic do you capture, right? I like to keep that very simple. It's kind of implied, self-evident. Brand authority to me is basically the sum of your topical authority, right? So if you look at all the topics that you're going after, how high is your topical authority across all of them, right? And so it goes back. I mean, the challenge there is a little bit that it's authority is a result of some things that SEOs can control and some things that SEOs cannot control, right? Like how good is the product? How good is maybe the customer support? Brand campaigns and advertising and total, like all of that stuff obviously gets your brand out of there. It creates a certain perception and sometimes demand. But you can actually like measure brand authority, right? This does not have to be this technical or elusive concept. And so I gave a suggestion and also a dashboard at the very end, or kind of a concept of a dashboard, a concept of a plan for how to measure brand authority. And I'm looking at things like your brand search volume, not just over time, but also in relationship to your competitors, right? So if you add up all the brand search volume and you look at how high is your market share, that can give you a good idea. I'm looking at things like brand combination keywords, right? So how do you rank, or how much visibility do you have for keywords like Shopify e-commerce, right? That would be a brand and a generic term. Third-party mentions, reviews, sentiment, AI citations, right? We can measure all these things and bring them together into a dashboard to quantify a composite score for brand authority, and then say it's going up or down. And that obviously has massive implications on our AI visibility as well, because brand popularity or brand authority is one of the major factors that differentiate who's visible in AI search and who's not.
Absolutely. As I said, this is a great resource. If you're interested, jump on the article. Great article. I'm sorry we don't have more time to discuss it today. By the way, also a very great technique that took the SEO internet by storm was this new social sharing button from our friend Metehan, which actually scored him an invite to this year's SEO Oktoberfest G50 Summit. He's coming. I'm loving it. He's coming over from Turkey with us. And he shared that first. And I think this is just genius, right? And right now I hear this everywhere. Like a lot of people are trying this out because it makes a lot of sense. Do you hear similar things?
I just had a call with a big company that raised a lot of money last week, or I think 2 weeks ago, and they're testing this live. They are embedding this, so I can probably share a live example pretty soon. But they heard this from several directions. It might have originated with Metehan's article. I'm not sure about that, but it should already be live today. I actually have to do a live check on their blog and see if it's already there. But that's a company that is very straightforward and aggressive about growing their AI visibility. I've seen the results, right? They have grown or doubled their AI visibility in the last 12 months. And they are also seeing the bottom line impact. They're also seeing real money coming through that growth of AI visibility. So anyway, I didn't want to get too far away from this topic, but it's a brilliant tactic.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dennis is right. The social sharing button should have kept under. You shouldn't have shared this. You should have shared this at the G50, right? But although this tactic got him the invite, so I applaud you. But Dennis is right. This tactic will be burned real soon. Talking about brand value, Mikkel has an interesting point here. Brand value used to often just be a bad excuse from agencies not producing tangible results in sales. Oh yeah, we're doing brand marketing. Now I have to fight to make, especially SMBs, to understand how necessary it is for online impact in general and why you have to invest in it. This is it. I mean, like I totally hear you, my friend. I mean, I have the same problem, and I think a lot of great SEOs for the last 10, 15 years have been, telling everyone brand. Ever since Eric Schmidt said, brands are the solution, they get out of the cesspool. And that's it. Ever since then, brand has been like the dominating factor in organic search. And it's just now like, do you finally get it? What we've been saying the last year. Do you finally get it? Here it is, right? So it's great to see this. Another big topic, of course, we had this week was new Google Core update. We were actually, ridiculing Google a little bit because Google last year said, "Oh, there's going to be a lot more Google Core updates. You got lots of Google updates," and we didn't even have one yet. And while we said it in the show, it was released. So we're calling it the Daily Dose of SEO update because it happened while we were just ranting about it, right? So somebody said, "Oh, we're just going to press the button now," right? No, of course it's not happening. But nevertheless, we've finally got a new core update. There's not, I think, of course it's going on. It's supposed to be 3 weeks, like we know. So of course. You might see some stuff moving, but this doesn't have to be the final picture. So be careful, don't use too much time to investigate because it could still change. Nevertheless, Glenn Gabe took a look at his list of HCU losers, so sites that lost in the helpful content update, so were not deemed to be very helpful anymore. And he actually saw 20% of them, picking up again. So 20 of them rising. So Google seems to have done something on that front because they got a lot of headwinds.
Headwinds
ist doch, wenn du mit, oder also if you are with.
That's tailwind.
That's tailwind. Okay. That's headwind. Okay. Don't pee into headwind. That's the right one. Okay. Yeah. All right. So they get a lot of headwind for that, right? And now in this core update, something apparently seems to have been fixed in that regard. Also, Systrix has some winners and losers, but again, take this with a grain of salt right now because it's not through yet. There's some interesting stuff, and by the way, especially Shopify. So he has this graph in there with Shopify going up, and especially the Shopify blog. Maybe does it have a social sharing button you were just talking about? Was it that?
I don't think it has the ChatGPT button, but it's a very powerful blog.
Yeah, but this was quite interesting. But nevertheless, take it with a grain of salt right now because it's not gone through yet. And other than that, also big news. Google's AI overviews hit by EU antitrust complaint from independent publishers. There's a couple of independent publishers who got together and said, this is not working. Now we're just going to drag you into court. And that's what's happening right now. A lot of publishers, really fighting against, Google taking their clicks that might have not been theirs in the first place, but whatever. Let's fight it out in court. So obviously, we're also going to take a look at this lawsuit and keep you up to date in this show.
I'm still working on getting the main lead behind this initiative to come on the show. So I'm talking to him, and we're trying to go through the legal hoops. But there is a chance that maybe at some point in the future we can have that conversation.
In 302 of a Kind, I love it. So we're not just talking about news, we're making news. That's something new. We're like content creators now. We should get paid.
Don't say the dirty word.
We should get paid. I don't know.
We should get paid.
Talking about Previsible, they have this awesome Tell It All. So make some advertisement.
Refer a link in the comments.
Okay. Right on. And talking about getting paid, Google also had some goodies for us this week. We actually got a new appearance filter, the discussion forum search. So now there's a new search appearance filter, and we can filter for discussion forums. Very nice. Thank you, Google. Although what we want, what kind of search appearance filter we would really like, which would help us a lot, and would also help you telling your story with, hey, it's less traffic, but it's more it's worth more. Why don't put your finger where your mouth is? What is it? Put your money where your mouth is.
Money where your mouth is. Finger works too.
Put your money where your mouth is. Just give us AI mode, AI overviews. There's so much stuff you could put in here at Search Appearance. I love it. I love the discussion forum. Don't take it away. But this is what we really want. And finishing up, Glenn Gabe had a great idea because he made a case for JetGDP, Perplexity, and others need to build AI Search Console reporting ASAP to provide site owners much needed AI search data. I think that's a mock-up. That's not real, right? I was like, oh my God, where is that? Where can I access this? Oh, okay, it's a mock-up. But I love the point that Glenn is doing, that Google is not giving us this. Why? It's a great opportunity for JetGDP, for all the others. Like with Anthropic, we've been crawling 60,000 pages. Here's data about the one user we sent you last week, right? I don't know. Well, sometimes like in Bing webmaster tools, with the German site, we're always like looking at data for like a couple of clicks. But nevertheless, it's awesome. But this is really, really great idea. If you guys could build this JetGDP, right, you would also build up so much trust also with webmasters, and you could maybe use this shift, right? This momentum shift we have right now to maybe sway over more webmasters to your site, because we're not getting that data from Google, right? And I mean, we're SEOs, we're all data bitches. We love some good data, right? And if another search engine is giving us some juicy data, I might spend some more time, playing around with it.
We
So
can ask. That a German is basically running
yes,
the ChatGPT product over at OpenAI. So we should reach out to him. His name is Nick Turley, and we should be like, hey, dude, give us that data. I think what's tough is that you would basically have to report citation clicks or how often citations showed up. But you cannot, like, reporting the prompts probably is too noisy, right? The prompts are too long and too individual. So maybe you can abstract it to a higher level, like Google does sometimes.
Yeah. And Mikkel has a great point. But then it's much easier to brag about the value of something if you don't have to provide real data. I'm an awesome, I don't know. I don't know. I'm an awesome lover, right? I don't whatever, right? I don't have to provide you with some data, right? You just have to believe me, right? Yeah, this is not how it works. This is not how any of this works. We SEOs, we love and breathe data. This is how we get better, right? This is how we make informed decisions. So give us data, and especially if they're saying, hey, you get less, but it's worth more. Show me, put the money where their mouth is. That'd be great. I'm looking at the time. It's 5:06. Awesome. I love it. Thank you so much, Kevin, for being here. Thank you so much, everyone in the chat. Thank you so much for the discussion. Great discussion. I really like the interactivity, and we want to keep it this way. Please, Marcus, we do not need data on just that. Nobody. I'm sorry. I was just looking for something. I can just say without any proof. Might have not been the best example. Please excuse me. This was great. This was great. Absolutely, this was great. It was so great that you all joined, and especially such the well distinguished OG SEOs like Mikkel, like Dennis, Olaf, Philip, everyone who joined in from all over the world, from Brazil, from Canada, from Denmark, from the US, of course. Obviously, also here, Jochen Miao. Thank you. And it's such a great thing. And we're looking forward to make more shows for you guys. Actually, each Friday, 4 p.m., put it in your calendar. Each Friday at 4 p.m., Kevin and I will be live here with 302 of a Kind, giving you the latest news, what has happened in the search world. So also next Friday, 4 p.m., tune in. And if you speak German, you can also tune in on Monday at noon. But tune in on Friday at 4 p.m. Philip says, great first show. Looking forward to future iterations and international guests. Yeah, I'm also looking forward to that guy that's making that lawsuit. I didn't even know that. I love that.
Working on it.
So you can expect a lot of great guests. You can expect a lot of great SEO chatter here at 302 of a Kind. We are back. And now we're going to temporarily redirect you from work to the weekend. Thank you so much for being with us today. See you next week. See you next Friday. And keep on waving. Bye-bye.
And big thanks to you, Marcus, for doing a great job as a host.
Thank you very much.